Hello ladies and gentlemen, today we're sadly discussing Hellboy, the Crooked Man. Did any of you even know this was coming out? I think I vaguely heard something 3-4 months ago about a new Hellboy movie, but I never even saw a trailer. And yet here we are, it's out, it's there for you to consume and enjoy, if you can. Yep, Hellboy's back, again, for the third time. Not that anybody asked for it. And this time we're solving some oogie boogie scary stuff going on in some Louisiana swamp forest that seems to be set in the 1500s, but I'm not really sure because I don't really care, but that's your synopsis. Enjoy. Who am I kidding? Let's just dive straight into the negatives on this pile of crap, shall we? Okay, so in my opinion, Hellboy the Crooked Man is very clearly two separate scripts being smashed together. This movie strikes me as originally being a quite thin and flimsy horror script about possessions and demons and ghosts and ghoulies all going on in the 1500s Louisiana backwater swamps. And there are aspects of that is interesting, original. It sort of reminded me of Resident Evil 4, my favourite of the Resident Evil games. There is a disturbing tone and aura that comes from that setting. The ideology towards possessions and witchcraft at that time and the Salem trials, I think there's a lot there that could have been explored, but it wasn't explored and it was poorly written and there was nothing about it that really stood out and really made it a sellable feature film. Had they ran with that script as it is, it would have flopped. It would have been a very low budget B horror movie that still wouldn't have done well at all. And I'll bet every penny I have that the IP of Hellboy was slowly running out. Because it happens very often in Hollywood. If you do not use it, you lose it. You know the whole thing with Sony pushing out Spider-Man related movies like Madam Web? It's just so that they can keep contractual rights to Spider-Man. They don't give a fuck about Madam Web, as you can see from the movie Madam Web. But if they don't make Madam Web, they lose Spider-Man. Hence you're going to be getting Craven in December as well. Big thumbs up, can't wait. They don't have to make it good, they just have to make it. So let's take this bang average, poorly executed B horror movie and just slam Hellboy on top of it, and now it's suddenly sellable. That is Hellboy the Crooked Man. The biggest pointer towards that conclusion being that Hellboy is barely in the frickin' movie. The actor they've got to play him, Jack Kesey, I have no idea who this guy is, I've never heard of him. He's pretty damn bad. Don't get me wrong, he's not laugh out loud funny, should never have done the role. To some degree, yeah, he looks fine in the makeup, but ultimately it just feels like a cosplay of Hellboy because there's no personality to it. He isn't bringing anything to it himself. It feels like he's just mimicking what the previous two actors have done with the role. It's easily the least engaging and interesting and least cool Hellboy out there. He is the definition of tagged on in his own movie. And even looking past Hellboy, there are some actors in here that you will know. Some of them are from daytime TV and they give you daytime TV performances. Yuck. But the dialogue they're given is atrocious. Character depth and growth and backstory sometimes just isn't even there. Everyone making this film was very clearly on the same page. It's just a payday. And if I'm being really nice and trying to find some positives about it, there were aspects of that paranormal horror that, like I say, visually quite impressive actually, or quite disturbing in its imagery. But the execution on the other hand just ballsed it all up. For example, sort of spoilers if you really care, there is a moment where a woman is kind of possessed, didn't really know what was going on, didn't really care, but she sees something and she has like a look of shock on her face and she's stuck in this position with her mouth open, and out of nowhere this snake starts curling its way around her body and she's trapped and she can't do anything about it, and the snake starts going inside of her mouth. As far as scary, horrific imagery goes, yeah, I think that's all right. That's quite hair-raising, it's uncomfortable. There's something quite intrusive and invasive about that, especially for a woman, and when you think about what the metaphor of a snake could be. But then they completely undo all of that by having the snake bite her on the neck instead and flail around like the arms of one of those wacky waving inflatable arm flailing tube men with some of the worst CGI imaginable to man. It goes from somewhat creepy and a little bit hair-raising to what the fuck are we doing? Like that. And it's not the only occasion. There is a moment where you watch the bones twist inside of a body. Thought it was actually pretty good, but there's just not enough of it, and it was very clearly rubbery and fake. If you just put a little bit more effort in and tried, you could have had something there. If we were going to do Hellboy again, let's be honest with each other, the franchise is pretty dead on its arse now. But if we were to do it again, get Guillermo del Toro back, get Ron Perlman back, get the Fishman back, finish off the trilogy. That's the way to do it, surely. This is just nothing. It didn't even really feel like a movie at times. It's very pointless. It's very thankless. There's very little to remember about it. Heck, it's literally vanishing from my brain as I discuss it. It might not be the worst thing I've ever laid eyes on this year, but it's probably the most pointless thing I've laid eyes upon this year. It stinks. It really stinks. I'm going to hazard a guess and say this is probably going to be in the top 5 worst movies of the year. I wish I could say it was so bad it's good, but it's not. It's just really fucking bad. And if you haven't guessed it, I'm going to give Hellboy the Crooked Man a 1 out of 10. Thank you for watching this review. Please be sure to hit that like button, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, and please do hit the comment section as well. Have you seen Hellboy the Crooked Man? Have you seen the previous Hellboy movies? Or have you even read the comics? What do you think about it? Let me know in the comment section down below. And of course, if you haven't had enough of this crazy ginger, we can always click on these suggested videos right here and get yourself lost in an IMO wormhole. But if not, take care. I look forward to seeing you on the next review.